and welcome to this, the visualised version of the Backstage podcast, where we talk about all the latest film and TV shows and hear from some of the stars as well. I'm Claire Gregory, and joining me this week is Sky's arts and entertainment reporter Bethany Minelle, welcome, and reviewer of TV and film, we've got Stevie Wong. Now, it's an absolutely huge week coming up.
You are the man who gave them the power to destroy themselves. And the world is not prepared.
Peasants! Welcome to the future. Let your voice be heard for the first time.
It's a trick.
We think she is a witch.
But first, the nominations for this year's Emmy Awards have been announced, and perhaps no big surprise to say that we've seen Succession, The Last of Us, White Lotus and Ted Lasso taking up plenty of the nomination spots. But there were some other surprises elsewhere, weren't there, Stevie?
I think some of the surprises were in the snubs. There's been a lot of talk how before the nominations came out that somebody like Harrison Ford was going to not only be nominated for Shrinking, but also potentially win if he got nominated. And unfortunately, he wasn't even nominated. There was also the other snub of Rachel Weisz, who was in the show Dead Ringer. She played twins, for goodness sakes. And
it twice.
Didn't even get I know twice, and it didn't work. And so that there's a couple of interesting things. The positives have been really interesting too. Jenny Ortega and Pedro Pascal, they made history for Latino actors, being the first time in leading acting categories that have been nominated. The Asian cast of Beef all got nominated. HBO, as usual, I mean, just a total of 127 nominations. And a lot of that went to Succession, Last of Us, White Lotus, Barry, and the House of Dragon. And so it's just so it's the same and different at the same time. So the Emmys again continue to surprise everyone.
And we think possibly a Pedro Pascal win, Bethany?
Well, actually, some people are thinking he's going to have a double win, aren't they? Because he's not just up for that one award. He's also up for his hosting duties on Saturday Night Live, one of the particularly funny episodes, I think. So, this is his moment. Everyone's been talking about Pedro Pascal all year. It would not be surprising to see him make history, really, to take not just one but two prizes home. And well-deserved as well. And I mean, like you said, Stevie, everyone loves the snubs, don't they? That's what we really love. But Succession and The White Lotus in particular, I think they've dominated most of our TV viewing over the last year. So it's so right that they now take centre stage. And even in the Best Supporting Actor category, it is literally those two shows going head-to-head, 4 actors each. They're the ones to watch for the big wins on the night.
Well, we'll keep you posted on that one. Now, one of the most highly anticipated movies of the year, Barbie, has had its European premiere in London, where everything turned pink. Let's have a little quick look at the trailer.
What do I have to do? You have to go to the real world. You can go back to your regular life, or you can know the truth about the universe. The choice is now yours.
So it was really nice to see some of the stars out for the Barbie premiere. I mean, it was very high energy. It was so loud. And I cannot tell you the amount of fans that all turned up in pink. Even the journalists were wearing pink. I mean, talk about a craze sweeping the nation.
I hear one journalist, though, didn't wear pink, Claire.
No, I did not get the memo, I'm afraid.
Well done you. You're being individual. That's good.
But luckily, no one seemed to mind very much. And everyone was in very good fun, more than happy to chat about the film itself. And here's what happened when I spoke to Margot.
The chance to work with Greta Gerwig and Ryan Gosling, Issa and Simu and all these actors that I've wanted to work with for so long, but to really do something unexpected and fun and clever and silly on such a big scale, it feels like a very unique opportunity.
I also had a wee chat with Ryan Gosling about, of course, playing Ken.
It turns out there's a lot of feelings in that little plastic heart of his. The whole time. I saw him face down in the mud, and I realized that this is, through Greta's lens, she's just so empathetic that she was able to imagine what this experience might have been like for Ken, having been an accessory for the last 70 years and not even one of the cool ones.
And we haven't actually been allowed to watch the film yet, so we can't give you a review, but it'll be out in cinemas on the 21st of July, as will Oppenheimer, another huge release coming out in cinemas on July 21st. Let's have a look at that trailer.
Truman needs to know what's next.
2. What's next?
1.
Written and directed by Christopher Nolan, who's known for massive films like Inception and more recently Tenet. This is about the father of the atomic bomb, J. Robert Oppenheimer, played by Cillian Murphy. And I'm pleased to say I got to sit down with Cillian and Christopher to have a chat about the movie.
It did start kind of almost instantaneously after I spoke to Chris, which was a terrific and amazing, glorious kind of shock. And then you realise that you've got to go to work. And there was, there's so much material out there, so I sort of dove into that straight away, and spent a lot of time in my basement just kind of reading, walking around, talking to myself. Which is
the glamour of movie making.
Exactly. And then I would fly out to LA, and myself and Chris would work on, costume and hair and makeup, and the way his physicality, and we worked very closely on that, and his voice and things like that. So I had about 6 months. I would have taken more, but that was enough.
And this is a bit of a stealth ensemble cast here, because you might not realise it, but there's also loads of other stars in this. You've got Emily Blunt, Florence Pugh, you've got Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr., and the early reviews, they're looking very positive.
They really are. I mean, it's had a much more traditional marketing campaign, hasn't it, compared to Barbie. No pink involved with this one. But yeah, it's full of stars. I mean, it's based on an American book called American Prometheus. And apparently, according to Emily Blunt, every single person in the cast and crew read this book. So they did their prep. So it's not surprising to me this is getting such heartfelt, accolades. Yeah. People are saying it's Christopher Nolan's possibly his most impressive work to date, which is saying something. Packed into 3 hours, though, it just has to be said.
3 hours and some incredible effects. Because, of course, Nolan's known, isn't he, Stevie? He's not someone that uses green screen. He likes to shoot on IMAX film, and he really wants people to get into cinemas. He's a real film traditionalist, isn't he?
But I bet you in a million years, he never thought that he would ever get paired to a certain film called Barbie and then get hashtagged into a Barbenheimer kind of like fiasco. I mean, it is just one of the funniest, strangest things. When they look back at the summer of 2023, this is going to be one of those bizarre things where he's a serious filmmaker, and now he's paired up with one of probably the pinkest, funnest movies of the year. And so I that makes me very happy, and it brings maybe a little bit smile to his face too.
Let's move away from the blockbusters then. So if you fancy a historical and satirical comedy drama, The Great might be for you. Let's have a little look at that trailer.
Taste this. Ooh, delicious. When Paul was born, your placenta was placed in a barrel of the finest vodka.
I just drank my placenta.
Sweet and strong, like you.
It's a little yeasty, though.
So this stars Elle Fanning and Nicholas Hoult, and is very loosely about the rise to power of Catherine the Great, Empress of all Russia. It is very loose, we should say. And it is a period piece, but it's a bit of fun, isn't it?
Absolutely. This is period piece with rock and roll mixed in. This has just got such beautiful chemistry between the two lead actors, hasn't it? And it's just full of funny one-liners, nice character development, amazing kind of scenery and costume, and just a full-on romp in all sense of the words. And I'd forgotten how funny this was, actually, so I'm glad the third season is back, and I do intend to pick this one back up and watch it properly.
It's got some dark moments as well, Stevie.
Definitely. And I think it's a very smart move on the show's part, because the first 2 seasons was just filled with about like the power dynamics between Catherine and Nicholas' character, Peter. And so for them to kind of bring it a little bit more serious this time around is a nice progression. I don't know how this fares, because if you look at history, things don't fare very well for Catherine's husband. But it is, I think we're heading towards a bit of a dark reality here. And so, yeah, but it's still a fun show. I don't want this to like kind of bring you down, and this is really something to watch because the performances are just brilliant.
And we did actually catch up with Elle Fanning for Backstage, and she talked about that dark humour used in this series.
I crave that humor, and to get to say those lines and be in those scenarios, it's so imaginative, and when you're in that world, you really feel like anything goes. And like as an actor, it's such a freeing feeling because you're in this world that you can really create and do anything. And that's really what Tony has done for all of us, with all of us actors. And also I think kind of living in the comedy space is really fun for me, which was it was different. And now I feel like I've settled in and gotten used to that space.
So The Great Series 3 is available to stream now on Lionsgate Plus. And that's it from us this week. If you'd like to hear more of any of the interviews from today about Barbie or Oppenheimer or The Great, then they're all on our podcast, which you can download anywhere you get your podcasts or by scanning the QR code, which is on your screen now. And that's it from us this week. Thank you ever so much, Bethany and Stevie. And we will talk all things film and TV again very soon. Bye.
Bye.